88 Chapter 6, at the compound. Contrary to Lem's acute accent's expectations, the trip was not in the usual way, traveling in a spaceship, but by way of the outphaser. The translation was almost instantaneous. They arrived at a military installation and after a medical examination they were transported to a military barrack. Hope they let us free. No way we should like to be here, as guinea pigs. Lamia said. Certainly not. I also want to know about money. My wages should amount to several thousand credits. Jolly Marnoth commented. 88, and locations. I don't acute accent know about you ellipsis points, but I have very few relatives here ellipsis points. Perhaps they are long time extinct. Lamia said. Yes, I will ask for answers. Devianco said. When asked, Commander Jackson said, remember we have different times here, as you traveled far and stayed there for some time. We know that, sir. Probably the ones with relatives will have a hard time accepting facts. Lem said, as he personally was not worried. All I could do is to ask for your wages. But to let you go out without the proper guidance, I know, that takes time. Commander Jackson said. Lem said about this conversation with the rest they were happy to receive wages. At least we could have some security for the time we leave the premises. Lamia said. Odine, who was not going to receive a coin, not being a member of Starfleet, murmured to Lem, I have seen devices on the walls. Jolly told me there were microphones and video cameras. Everything we said goes outside. Lem talks to her in the same way, saying, they probably want to keep us in here for months on end. We have seen many things they don't acute accent to want to be known by people outside the military community. We can offer them our silence in these questions. Captáin proposes. 89. Lem told everyone about being heard by authorities of the camp, and that every conversation must be had in whispers when delicate matters were treated. The rest were very upset, and the general consensus being very simple, to wait for the money and then flee. As they decides was happened. Commander Jackson sends them to the cashier and they receive debit cards to buy whatever they want through the use of computers to ask for the article they saw at the screen. The delivery was very fast, sometimes even at the same day they asked for it, and they, of course, as their lives gets enriched by that, the idea to flee weakened. But a certain group keeps on with the idea of total freedom, among them, Odine and Lem. We need a vehicle, and for that purpose we must work near the hangar. Now there are rules, and land vehicles are manned through a central administration building. All we need to know it's a point of destiny. Lem said. Very simple. We must get out of this military compound. Once in the outside, it will be hard for them to know where we are. Odine said. Now there are cameras that recognize faces among the crowd. A simple alarm system tells officers where you are ellipsis points. We should wear disguises. Lem commented. Others finally knew of these plans to escape, and they waited for a big storm to get out of camp, climbing a wall and descending by the other side through ropes. 90. The vacant lot. When out of the compound, they walked by the streets until finding a vacant lot, with branches and some metal sheets they hurriedly makes a shelter. When inside, they smiled to each other, knowing that they were exactly as in the jungle, but instead of dinosaurs and serpents, there were uniformed men. Lem counted the whole of the escapades, looking at Gofreda, Lamia, Jolly, Odine and the rest that was with them, Kate, Josefina and Isolda. The men were few, Steve, Saúl and Marty. Tomorrow we must rent a house for all of us. No need we search as a group. Just a couple of us made the deal. Lem commented. And are you going with Odine? Gofreda asked. That acute accent's right. After we rent, I will come here to pick you up. Lem said. This vacant lot could be serving us as a second hideout. Perhaps it's belonging to a deceased owner. Steve commented. Possibly, we could start putting a fence on front. Lem said. Yes, and then waits for things to happen. Gofreda said. Let acute accent sleep now. The night is long. Captáin recommended. They slept occasionally, and in the morning Lem and Odine walks out of the vacant lot in search of a house. As they didn't acute accent to want to give their real names, the renting was difficult, but at 15:15 hours they finally found a less suspicious renter. That was an old lady, and so they went for the rest of the group. "Hey, we have a home already," Gofreda said, after hearing the house was finally rented. "And how is that?" Lem asked her. 91. I talked with a neighbor that told me this place has been vacant since she remembers. So I told her I am the heiress of my defunct grand-auntie Varina, and that I will build a house in here," Gofreda said. "Nice tale. We will put a wire fence." Lem applauded, and they all moved to the new house. The men went to fetch beds and clothes, the women to buy stuff and groceries. That evening they burnt the old clothes and put on the new ones. The mattresses were located in 3 different rooms, and at dinner time they eat from a stew and some fruits. Money abounds. I will buy tools to make a fence. And iron bars. I guess we all should cooperate with money, to make a common fund to build a house. Lem asked right curly bracket. They all agreed, only that some women were reluctant to contribute ellipsis points, alleging they need more clothes and more shoes ellipsis points a month. After they escaped from the military compound, they rescinded the renting to that lady, as they have now a new house with 6 rooms made of wood, together with a toilet and a kitchen. Lem said, "Our funds are running low. We must begin to work no matter in what occupation. I can find a job in a hospital." Lamia said. "Good. The lack of identity papers is the problem. We must forge them, if we want nice jobs." Lem commented. "Perhaps the army stops the searching for us." Jolly Marnoth said. "I doubt it much. But our present appearances differs a lot from our old serfs," Lamia stated. 92. That acute accent is applicable for your ladies, that are, now a little rounded up, a little more beautiful with makeup and new dresses. We, men, are almost equal to what we were when at the military compound," Lem commented. "But just the same begin working, and every month a new appliance appeared, a new object added to the house ellipsis points that have now a strong iron fence up in front." Odine gives an announce after 3 months in the new environs, "I am pregnant." "Well, congratulations. This demonstrates that we have the same origin," Lem said, embracing her. "Do you like it? I mean, to have a son?" Odine asked. "Of course. An inheritor." "And how do you know it is a son and not a daughter?" Lem asked her. "Intuition," Odine replied. 8 months later, a baby boy was born. Lem was happy to see his first son, and Odine was also happy to become a mother. One by one the members of the group began to leave that house, and in the course of 8 months Odine and Lem have the whole house for their own. They are very generous. They give us a fine house without even mentioning it," Lem commented. 93. That first month was to be occupied on the welfare of little Lawrence. That was the name of the newborn son of Odine and Lem. Every ex-member of the old group was visiting the couple, bringing objects. "It acute accent as a beautiful baby. Congratulations. I brought him some baby covers," Jolly Marnoth said. "Thanks you very much. The baby is sane and hope he will have a fruitful life," Lem said. "I brought him canned milk and vitamins," Lamia said, "and it was a big bag." "Thanks you. You are overly generous to us," Captáin said, receiving the gift. 2 years later, Lamia calls Lem by phone, saying, "How is going little Lawrence?" "Fine, thanks you. He is strong and healthy," Captáin said. "Good. Is Lem around? I need to talk with him," Lamia asked. "Not right now. He acute accent s at the factory, working," Captáin replied. "Oh, well ellipsis points I will call him later ellipsis points goodbye," Lamia said. When Lem arrives home, Odine said, "Lamia calls asking for you. She said she will call you later." "And did she say what the matter was?" Lem asked. "Not a word," Odine replied, but half an hour later, Lamia was at the phone, saying, "Lem, I must tell you a serious matter, but not by phone," she announced. 94. Oh, it acute accent S that bad? Really, you better meet me at the big horse. The one at? You know where. Lem remembered the big statue on the central square, and said, all right, and when do you want to meet me? Right now, if possible. Lem looked at his wristwatch and said, all right, I acute accent I'll be there in half an hour. I will wait you there. Lamia said, ending the phone call. What did she want? Odine asked. A meeting. Some trouble, I guess. I will be going now. Lem said. Are you not dinning tonight? Odine asked. Not right now. Quoted acute accent S a trifle matter ellipsis points I will be back as soon as I can. Lem promised her. Yes, call me, after you see her. Odine asked. I will do that. Lem said, leaving the room. He drives the car without hurry, and parked his car 3 blocks away from the central square and walked to the horse. He saw it and there was no Lamia around. He walked past the statue, crossing the street, and suddenly Lamia was before him, going out of a corner. Lem. Lamia? Yes. But first, let acute accent S go away from here, she said, walking hurriedly. 95, 2 blocks away, she stopped and said, I am being followed. By whom? The military. Lem asked. I guess they are military agents, who else? I am working at a hospital. Double quote dash she said. Years that we are out of their custody ellipsis points. Guess they could have keep on with the searching. Lem mused out and looking around ellipsis points there were just 2 or 3 men walking by the street. I guess they could have some plans for us, perhaps that acute accent S, why they get so adamant. Lamia said. Could be anything. I guess they will begin searching for the rest of our group ellipsis points through you. Lem said. Your guess is right, she said, trembling. The weather was cold but she was feeling ice running through her veins. You can come to my house, to rest there, because your home could be tagged already. Lem offered, although he has not the approval of his wife. Lamia negates, saying, I don't acute accent you want to endanger your family. And then, what do you pretend to do about it? Lem asked. You know, I have my things at my apartment, that perhaps you could go there to recover ellipsis points. I could wait somewhere else ellipsis points. Guess they could take me with them, if I appears there. Lamia said, looking at him wide-eyed. They also know about me. Lem commented. Sorry to say, but you have engrossed a lot. So you will probably pass inadvertently. Lamia mentioned. All right. I will go. Hope you don't acute accent you want me to take your furniture too. Lem said. 96. Oh, no. It acute accent F just a couple of bags. Lamia said, but later she indicates that those bags must be replenished with a long list of small things ellipsis points so much that Lem began to suspect she just don't acute accent you want to lose a thing. The place was a big house in a quiet neighborhood ellipsis points. Lem was a little surprised, as he has an acute accent he thought on Lamia to have succeeded in life ellipsis points. The place needs a big income to be occupied ellipsis points, but of course, with women you cannot know everything they do to have a good life ellipsis points. With the key on his hand, he enters the house and puts the lights on ellipsis points. The place smelled of feminine fragrance, and soon he was putting items into bags. He was doing so, when he heard noises on the back door ellipsis points. He jumped out of the house and ran away, not even looking, if he was being pursued or not ellipsis points. Lamia was waiting for him around a corner in a dark street full of trees. Why are you running? Do they saw you? Lamia asked, grabbing one of the bags. Yes, and several men. Let acute accent S get out of here. Lem said, and soon they were calling a taxi cab, and in it they traveled, until she asked the river to stop. She paid the fare and at a corner she said, look, there is a hotel. I saw the sign from the taxi. They entered the building and booked in. She sighed and said, thanks. You are really a good person. Don't acute accent he mentioned it. I acute accent am glad to be of help. But tell me, what are you going to do now? He asked. 97. I acute accent LL leave town. Surely they lost track of me. I will never go back to that house, she said. Well, guess I acute accent am going now, Lem said, but she takes him by the hand, saying, I must repay you for what you have done in my behalf. Possibly we will never see each other again. Oh, forget it. I do it out of friendship, he said, looking at her that approaches and kissed him for some time. Lem begins to huge her and soon they loved each other. Later, she lights a cigarette saying, I always likes you pity you choose another. Oh, I thought you preferred to be without attachments, he said. Well, forget it. You have a family now I will be traveling alone, she mentioned. Lem went to his home and said, Lamia wanted some items from his house. I help her with it. At this hour? Was she in any danger? Odine asked. Because I think the military is still searching for us, as she have seen men following her. Lem said. Strange. What for? We have an acute accent to say a word to anyone about what happened out there, Odine said. Lem dropped the subject, having no answers, and at work he began to be on the alert trying to detect if he was being spied not really finding any clue. You are acting strange, since you meet Lamia. Why is that? Odine asked, some days later. She instilled in me his suspicions. Now I am constantly on the alert. If I see a military man in the street or elsewhere, I look on him as a threat, Lem said. Odine embraced him, saying, Stop worrying. Nobody is following us. The working place, where Lem was employed, was an office dedicated to make invoices for the products that the factory produces, electronic appliances. 3 days after this conversation with Odine, Lem saw Lamia waiting for him next to the exit door. Hi. Sorry to came here, but we need to talk, she said, grabbing his arm. Of course. Are you in any trouble? Lem asked, in surprise. Yes. As I told you, I went far from this city, and when willing to work at the new place, I was intercepted by 2 military men, who told me I better cooperate with them or I will never obtain another job. A real threat indeed. And what do you do? Lem asked in dismal. I told them I will think it over, and they give me a day to decide, Lamia said. And you escaped here? Lem said. Lamia looked at him and said, Really I acute accent am going crazy with all of this. You are my only help. Certainly. And I am penniless. I waste too much money traveling and renting places, Lamia explained. I acute accent give you shelter. I acute accent am sure Odine will not oppose, Lem said. 99. Hotel believe you. They were walking by the street but she stopped and said, I told you I don't acute accent to want to be upsetting your wife. Then it must be a room at some hotel? He asked, remembering what happened in one of those places. Yes. I guess I can earn some money working by my own, selling clothes, Lamia said. Very well, let acute accent find a room for you, he said. Not needed be. I acute accent am already booked at hotel believe you you just accompany me there, please, Lamia asked, and Lem stared at the woman, finding her face very lovable the place was a fine hotel, and her 3 rooms with every modern appliances looked good and smelled fine. When closing the door, she offered him her lips, and they kissed for some time. Then she said, Sorry, but I think I acute accent am in love with you. Lem was an acute accentee feeling very good with this, as he had a wife and kid waiting for him at home, but looking, as beautiful Lamia was, he takes her to the bedroom to make love 2 hours later, she asks, And what are we going to do? Lem kissed her and said, I will try to find you a job, where I acute accent am employed. You will earn some money and we acute accent be seeing each other daily. Oh. And that would be very good, Lamia said, embracing him 100. Since that day they were living a torrid romance, with Lamia delivering in him years of repressed desires so much so, that Lem lost 4 kilograms in 2 weeks. Odine was no fool and soon she was spying on him, discovering the plot. She waited for 2 days and then said, "I know you have another woman, Lamia. I don't acute accent object you having a new affair, but I will ask of you 2 things. Tell me." Lem said, very pale. "First, an allowance. Money to eat, to pay for the basic services. Secondly, we cannot keep on living under the same roof. You ought to go." Odine said. "But, my son? I need to see him." He feebly said, "Your son is available to be seen from 16 to 20 hours daily. You can come here any day you want, you have keys, use them." Odine remarked. Lem was feeling as bad as it can be, when Odine added, "I know how much your wages amounts to. I want half of it." Lem reddened. He wasn't acute accent to receiving much ellipsis points. He will be like a poor guy ellipsis points, but Odine will also be poor, so he said, "Of course." Odine stopped talking to him, except with short phrases, and that, when addressed. Lamia saw him coming like from a funeral at the next day and asked, "What is happening?" Odine knew about us. She asked to leave home, plus half of my wages. He replied. 101. She pales and said, "It acute accent F the best." "Did she make a scene, yells at you?" "Not a tear. But I feel ashamed of myself, cheating on her ellipsis points," Lem commented. Lamia reddened and said, "You cannot force your heart to do as you wanted. Now you are mine. I acute accent am happy of this. I will be almost poor." Lem remarked. "I acute accent am working just like you are. We acute accent LL join our incomes, you will see. We acute accent LL be happy." She alleged. Living in a hotel was an acute accent to like to live in a house, so they rented a small house as near as their jobs could be not to expend in locomotion. Lem keeps visiting little Lawrence for a year. Every day in the afternoon ellipsis points he saw how Odine began to dress better and looking prettier, but without a smile in his direction ellipsis points. He realized she was also working part-time, and so leaving her son at the kindergarten, except on weekends ellipsis points. Once he saw a guy ringing the bell and then talking endlessly with Odine on the porch. He assumed it was her boyfriend. At New Year acute accent S Eve, Lamia said, "We could go to celebrate outdoors. I don't acute accent to feel like to cook now." "Of course, darling. Let acute accent F choose a nice spot, with plenty of garlands and balloons." He accepted immediately. 102. New Year acute accent S ballroom. They traveled in a taxi cab, arriving at 22.45 hours to a nice restaurant with a music band and plenty of very young people. "This is nice. We will be near the scenery," Lamia said, smiling. They asked for a complete menu, and after the meal a gong resounded and a showman announced the 12-hour was arrived. Ellipsis points rubber balloons rained over the concurrents, and champagne bottles began to pop out their corks by happy waiters and gents. Ellipsis points both Lem and Lamia kissed each other and danced until dawn, returning to their home at 8 hours. It was a nice celebration. Unforgettable, Lamia said, but in his inner self Lem was very sad, being away from the ones he should have protected, Odine and little Lawrence. Ellipsis points because of that. He went the next day to visit him, finding he was playing with some new toys, while Odine just opens the door, and let him inside without a word. Lem saw there wasn't acute accent any improvement on the house, the same furnitures, but then he heard a man calling Odine from the dormitory. Ellipsis points he followed her and saw a man in shorts drinking beer. Ellipsis points well, guess you get into my house without expending a credit, Lem said. Who are you? Scram. That man said, while Odine said, you have no right in here, Lem. Please go out. Lem departed, bought a gun and returns 1 hour later. Now he was ringing but nobody opens the door, so he used his key. He finds the same guy in bed, with Odine already sitting on the verge of the bed. Lem fired all 6 shots on that guy, spreading blood all over. Odine jumped out of the room, grabbing her son and run out the street. Lem departs by the rear of the house, and after trespassing some backyards, he finally gets into a taxi cab, 2 blocks away. He went to a bar to ease his feelings. He realizes his former job was no go from then on. 2 days later, his boss calls him by phone, saying, "What a cute accent's wrong with you, Lem? Are you sick of something?" "Yes, a terrible cold, sorry." "Well, hope you get better. Call me when ready to work. We miss you here," the chief said in a kind tone of voice. Lamia smiled and said, "You better return to work, dear, or they will replace you." Lem was overly intrigued. He was supposing the cops were on him, alerted by Odine. At the next day he went to work, and the boss said, "I see you better from your cold." "Yes, I am taking a lot of pills." "Good. Keep on. You have lots of work to do," the man said. 5 days later he sent Lamia to pay the alimony to Odine, saying, "Sorry to use you for this, but I am still with a nose cold and Lawrence could be contaminated if I go." "All right, Lem. No problem," Lamia said. At his return, she said, "Odine is fine, also your son." "So, did she said something, why I wasn't a cute accent either?" Lem asked. "Not a word. Your son was playing with a toy truck full of soldiers. He a cute accent's a nice boy. We could have one of our own," Lamia offered. "I will think about that," Lem said, in surprise. Apparently, Odine gets her mouth shut about the crying. Not pointing at him as the culprit. He felt released and also grateful. But to an extent only. He will never forget she offers her to another man. Not even choosing a working able man instead of a gigolo of sorts. 3 months later, and after Lamia said he was not having any cold nose, he went to Odine's house to deliver the alimony. She opens the door, and said, "What do you want in here?" "To see my son and deliver the monthly allowance, of course," Lem said. "All right. But don't a cute accent make any more fuss," Captáin said, standing apart. 105. Lem saw his son staring at him, and saying, "Daddy." He takes the creature in his arms and begins to cry. Captáin enters the room and said, "Hope you are calm now. Of course, I will never get Lawrence a cute accent's father into jail." "Sorry about that," Lem murmured. "Stay calm, I will never get another man in here." "Because that is what you want," Captáin said. After a couple more hours, he left the house with remorse. At a bar, he asks for a whiskey. The bartender looks on him, saying, "Guess you need a double portion." "How do you know it?" "Geez. You have a pale face with 2 red eyes. And that seems somebody was crying," the bartender said, chuckling. "It a cute accent's that noticeable?" "Oh, yeah. But drink it, my man. Everything disappears after a good shot," the bartender said, going to attend another client. From there he went home, trying to evade Lamia acute accent's eyes. Days later, Watson calls him by phone, saying, "Du kannst von Stattel." That was a password. "Oh, well, tell me." "Hi. With Steve and Saúl we have a project that perhaps you could want to participate." "I don't acute accent no." "Of course, we must talk details. Meet me at Moises Chacon Street just in the curve of it. There is a stadium to the right. That is in El Monte town. Near Santiago to the coast." Watson said. "I have no car," Lem confided. "Well, got it. I will send someone to your house to pick you up. Tomorrow at 21 hours sharp. Be ready." Watson demanded. "All right, but perhaps you must retain that guy so he could return me to my home," Lem said. "Of course, don't acute accent you worry. Bye," Watson said, hanging the call. To Lamia he said, "I received a call from Watson. Do you remember him?" "Yes, he was a controller at some spaceship. A very proud man," Captáin said. "Well, guess he have a work for me, so I acute accent I'll be seeing him tomorrow evening," Lem said. "Strange, but if the wages are better, you must consider it," Captáin commented. When that car arrives, that was a taxi cab. Lem climbs on it and was carried to a house in El Monte town. How much it is? Lem asked the driver. In acute accent S already paid, sir. The man replied, releasing the door. Acute accent S block. Lem descended and saw Watson appearing from the house with a front garden. Good evening, Lem. Glad you come here. Watson said. In acute accent S cold around here. Is it always like this? Lem said, who was using only a fabric jacket. 107, the reunion. Inside the house, Lem saw two old companions, Steve and Saul, that stands up from their seats at a table to salute him. Good evening, Lem. You look rather slim. Saul said. Too much work. Lem replied, handshaking them. They sit around a table and Watson said, as you know, the military gets tired and stop considering us a threat. And how do you know it? I have Lamia very frightened after being followed and threatened by the same guys. Lem commented. Well, the military contacted us, offering a nice amount of money for just one trip. Watson said. Where to? Back to where we were some time ago. Watson said, indicating to the ceiling. No kidding. How much are they offering? Lem said, right to the point. 1,000,000 credits. Watson said. Lem smiled and said, well, divided by us for ellipsis points in acute accent S like a month acute accent S payment at my present job. And no dinosaurs in sight. Lem replied, looking at them one by one, thinking that those men were unemployed and willing to accept whatever it comes their way. Ellipsis points no, Lem. 1,000,000 to each of us. Watson corrected, perhaps to impress Lem, giving a first number without defining to who or whom it was directed. Well, seems a lot better, but not to jump dancing with joy. Ellipsis points. And how long it will take? Lem asked. 108.